Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Pages to Pixels, the best movie podcast. I'm Kevin and that's Rohan, and today we're going to be talking about Zootopia 2, which just released in theaters. It is the sequel to Zootopia, the film that centered around um, animal inhabitants in the world of Zootopia, where it's kind of like a utopia, but it's perfect for animals of all kinds. But in that movie, they kind of establish that birds and reptiles do not actually live in the uh, city world. This is something I didn't even really notice in the first movie. I guess it was like offhand dialogue that I didn't notice. And so for the sequel film, they actually kind of explore the reptile history of Zootopia and kind of goes into the lore of how it was created. So, yeah, I, for one, did not even anticipate on watching this movie. I liked the first movie. And I think that's where we should start is, what our thoughts are on the first film and kind of what we were expecting going into the sequel.
Yeah, I think the first one was a huge surprise for me because I saw the trailers and I think the trailer was it was promoting the sloth at the DMV the entire time, which which was a hilarious gag both in the trailer and in the movie. But I kind of just expected that to be the movie. It's kind of like which I didn't really think of this as Disney at first because it felt like Disney doing DreamWorks style humor. Uh, if that makes sense, because I feel like that this is
Mm-hmm.
definitely a lot of the humor in both of these movies are more DreamWorks style than Disney. Nothing wrong with that. It's just kind of what I've noticed. So I kind of expected this to just be. It's like okay, this is gonna be a fun throwaway kids movie that's really funny, and then it ended up just being a lot more. It became a movie about racial profiling, and um, and then ended up winning best animated feature in a year that was pretty strong because I
What else
believe
came
that there
out that
was
year?
Kubo and the Two Strings was another big contender, and I think I'm pretty sure there was another Pixar movie that year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, So in a pretty stacked year, Zootopia ended up taking animated feature, and I think it's debatable whether that's better or Kubo. I think I liked the animation and the music in Kubo a little bit better, but I definitely think Zootopia was a more. I kind of prefer the story of Zootopia a little bit more, and I was really yeah. I loved the first movie a lot more than I expected it to. It's been 9 years since it came out.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Yeah, nearly 10 also because I mean the first Utopia I want to say came out in like February or March. It was definitely an early in the year release, not like later in the year.
Mm-hmm. I remember seeing it when it came out, and I really liked it. Um, I didn't see Kubo that year, but I later on caught it, and I agree with you. I think the story with Zootopia is just more memorable. I couldn't tell you what happened in Kubo and the Two Strings if you tried to ask me. So, like, if you want someone to kidnap and you want to put them in that scenario, and you say, "Hey, you have to recite everything from Kubo and the Two Strings," I can tell you there's a beetle and a monkey, and that's all I can tell you. Um, but in Zootopia, there's not a beetle, but there is a monkey. I think somewhere.
Is there?
Anyway,
I don't remember.
I don't even know. But in the first Zootopia film, I do think that they really. I think I did have some struggles with um, kind of what you had mentioned before about the like racial profiling angle, because a lot of the resolution with that comes like so quickly. Like they use it
Oh
to
yeah.
build tension in the movie, but then for the resolution, it's like, we figured it out. And now this film is apparently taking place 2 weeks after the events of the original film. They took the Incredibles 2 approach with the sequel, and I thought that was kind of an interesting decision because where we leave off in Zootopia 1 is with, spoiler alert, they come to learn that their mayor had corruption, and then the new mayor had even more corruption, with Mayor Bellwether. And while I don't think that that twist is particularly that great, like it's kind of easy to see, it does add to the world of like, okay, Zootopia is not this perfect society, and but there's people like Judy and Nick who are going to see past their differences in order to make the city better. So I think that that's kind of like what the heart of the movies are, and if you like that, which I do, then you'll come away enjoying the movie. And I felt the same with Zootopia too.
Yeah, it is funny. I didn't even realize it was 2 weeks. Dang. I know it was shortly after, but yeah, 2 weeks is kind of crazy. I almost do wish that there was a little bit more time. Although that's a very small detail that I think once the movie kind of gets going, I feel I feel it's perfectly like, I it's not something that bothered me.
I think it only bothers me, and I hate to start into negatives, but it bothers me because it impacts so much of the character dynamic and how little some stuff makes sense. For example, and this is something that we're probably gonna touch on later, but just one of the examples is like they are being questioned as partners because, and that's what's driving a lot of the conflict at the beginning of the film. That they are bad partners for each other, and that's why off the bull, I forgot his name. That's why he puts them in that partner program, right? Uh, and I think that those events, the problem isn't that Judy and Nick are not like good partners for each other, that they have like problems working together. The problem is that they are trying things that are so ambitious that are literally destroying the city. It has very little to do with their chemistry. Their chemistry is actually why they're able to do things the way that they are. And so it just kind of feels like a lot of yada yada at the beginning to get them to the place where they need to be for the events to start. Um, and that's kind of that's like the only part of the movie that I actually don't like is that beginning.
I agree. I feel like the movie does a lot of. It tells you that, hey, they're bad partners, and that, hey, they need couples therapy and they can't work together properly. Um, but I mean, I agree with you. When I'm watching the movie, I'm like, I don't really see that until a little bit later in the movie, actually, because you definitely see their differing philosophies. But even then, there is a commonality to it, and it's, even that is rooted in their bond and friendship. But yeah, at the beginning of the movie, it's constantly like, if the bad guys got away because they were bickering during the car chase and couldn't get on the same page, and that caused destruction, I think it would have made a little bit more sense. Granted, it's a bit of a cliche trope, but as you said, in this case, they weren't arguing. I mean, maybe there was like a little bit of banter where Nick was like, "Oh, you're driving again, huh?" But other than that, it's not like there was conflict between the two of them to the point where they needed couples therapy. What would have probably been more accurate to what was going on. Is it feels like they don't respect authority almost, and they kind of go out of line. So like a standard training would have probably been more accurate to what they need, but I guess that's not as funny.
No. Yeah, they wanted to get all their animal gags like early on with
Yeah,
the mice and the elephant
zebras.
and the oh yeah,
Yeah,
zebras. Um, the fix for it is so easy though too, and it goes back to the 2 weeks thing because it's like if you just have like a year in between and they've been having multiple incidents that resulted in
right.
stuff because of their conflicts of how they want to approach things. And that kind of reflects what we see in the movie with this case that they're on, which I think all of those parts are fine when it comes to their arguments. It's really just the fact that there's 2 weeks in between, and then also their peers and the public are making fun of them after saving the city from the biggest scandal ever. No way. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
Yeah, so they're just unnecessarily mean to the only people who give a damn about them. Yeah, the real meat and potatoes is this investigation that involves the Linksleys and the first snake sighting in Zootopia since before Zootopia even existed. Is kind of like the mystery at heart. I feel like this movie was way more like police procedural mystery than the first one felt. Like a lot of it was still like I still think the first movie is about that. I feel like this time the investigation and the Nick and Judy dynamic were pretty balanced evenly, whereas the first one I feel like it was a little bit more into Nick and Judy's relationship.
I would agree with that. I think, and I guess I think that's easier because it's like, okay, the relationship, it's established, and now they're kind of they're working out their differences, but they don't have to reestablish it all. So they're allowed to focus a little bit more on the actual investigation at hand, which, as you said, it's about this rich family, the Lynxes. Did they make their
Linksley.
fortune off of Ataris? Uh, I don't know if you get that reference or if anyone else does, but
Uh, I'm trying. I know. It's funny because I just watched a documentary on. It was not a documentary. It was a History Channel episode on Atari, but I don't think that has anything to do with the joke you're saying. So,
there's just a game. It was just like a thing called the Atari Lynx. That's it.
gotcha.
Yeah. It's not even mine. I saw that on Twitter, so. But
Um,
yeah, it's
yeah.
and then they're doing this whole event where they're showing like the book of the original Lynx guy, the guy who supposedly invented the weather machine that allows all the animals in Zootopia to coexist. And there is a snake played by Ki Kwan, which I thought was, which I mean, I loved his casting in this movie. I just feel like he embodied that character very perfectly, even with just his voice. Who is trying to steal the book because the book reveals a secret that it wasn't actually the Lynx is who created that weather machine. It was his grandmother. And if that is revealed, then him and his family, and as a result, all other reptiles would be able to move back into Zootopia instead of being kind of on the outskirts.
It's really and it's also like they're changing they're smashing the hourglass and changing the course of history. Sorry, Survivor reference. But they took what was basically this rumor that the Linksleys caused, which was that snakes are dangerous and and murder people, which just feels like kind of retreading the stuff from the first movie where it was like they have a very specific um, racial point of view against
Right.
the snakes, but this one kind of also deals with like immigration, right? Because it's like the snakes weren't really
Immigration
originally here.
and redlining, I would say.
I really liked Ki Kwan's character. I thought he was really entertaining. I also liked Paubert, the Andy Samberg voiced, like run to the
Yeah.
family. He is a really fun character in the short time he's on, and I'm not usually an Andy Samberg fan. That's my hot take. I'm sorry, but I do think that he was really good in this movie, and he was. And Paubert is, especially when they get to the little tent and he has all the cat things and he starts doing cat thing. His role in the movie is really yeah, is more in like the last like half. But you do meet early on at that like ball where I think they really set the stage really well. And they do a lot of good like setting the stakes like with the
Mhm.
officer getting like basically taken out of the entire movie, and Nick and Judy becoming fugitives. Like, I genuinely was like, I don't know how they're gonna get out of this. Which it's stupid to say because you know they're gonna get out of it, but
Yeah.
when you set the stakes that big and you're like, oh, like they actually are wanted for like attempted murder, like that's some crazy stakes for a Disney movie, which they don't do anymore.
Mhm. That sequence is kind of my favorite sequence of the entire movie. I think um, I think one that's it really, of course, that's the one that sets up, hey, this is what this movie is about. Um, it you kind of expect that the Lynxes are going to be evil in some way, but it's kind of giving you the seeds of like, okay, how are they evil? And then also there's just the whole chase scene was a lot of fun, and there was a ton of just yeah, there was a ton of great comedy in those moments. I think my favorite part was when they run through the kitchen, and I think it's a tiger that's cooking, but then they reveal that there's a rat making the ratatouille reference.
It was really good. Yeah, I was caught off guard, but that was a great joke. Yeah, it was a really fun sequence, and
Yeah,
it was also nice seeing the mafia rat family again. This time taken over by the daughter.
the Godfather.
Yeah, they were cute. What did you make of the? Actually, there's two main things, two other things I do want to talk about before we move forward. But the Beaver character, I kind of thought that she was going to be really annoying, and she actually turned out to be really charming and fun. And I liked her conspiracy theory stuff. Um, I hope that you also enjoyed her as well.
Yeah, I did like her. It did take her some time to grow on me. Um, because I mean, at the beginning, I thought she was funny, but I didn't think she was particularly as funny as the movie
Hmm.
was trying to make her out to be. But then when they actually introduce her as a character from behind this, from away from just behind the computer screen, and you know her more. I still don't necessarily think she's the funniest, the way that the movie was setting her up to be. But I do think that she's a character that I ultimately liked, and I was glad it was part of their little group to try and stop the Lynxes.
I really enjoyed her presence, especially in the jail when she just randomly
Yeah,
shows up and then she's like, Nicholas Wilde.
yeah, I think that was definitely the funniest moment with her, especially because um, I mean I expected Nick to be like, "Oh, hey, you can make a key, get us out of here." But no, she already thought of it. She already was working on that key and got her out.
And released all of the
That also
prisoners and
had
had a
the Yeah.
Yeah, the Silence of the Lambs
They also had
reference
that
too.
Hannibal Lecter reference with the villain from the first
Mm-hmm.
movie, which is funny because I never thought of that character as like a Hannibal Lecter. That character was definitely more of a kind of a white collar criminal, pulling doesn't get their own hands dirty. Not unlike Lecter, but then it still worked. It was still like really funny.
I think it I think it's less because of the well, it's more the sociopathic tendencies, not necessarily like
Right.
who she is. I heard that she actually was going to have a larger role and that they were going to all visit her and get information, but that never made the cut. Probably
Oh,
because they were on the run or something, so it didn't really make any sense.
yeah.
They actually
That would have
also
been.
have that. Sorry, they have that beat in Hoodwinked, the second Hoodwinked movie, which is also an investigative like animal storybook type thing. Um, that movie is not as good as the first one, and both are probably not as good as Zootopia. But I do think that the first Hoodwinked is very funny. Um, so yeah,
I am just finding out there was a second Hoodwinked movie.
it was really bad, like really bad.
I
So
really liked the first one.
it's really funny. I definitely I considered that as my recommendation, but I went with a different movie. Anyways, the second thing I wanted to talk to you about is something that I think people have been talking about on Twitter about Nick and Judy's relationship. Some people think that they should be a couple. Some people don't think that they should be a couple, and some people think that that Disney is building up to it, or they're not at all. And there's so many different takes on that. So I feel like we need to air it out and figure out do we like uh, do we like the bunny fox romance or not?
Yeah, so it's not just Twitter. Our other co-host who is not here today, Kirtana, very much insists that they should be a couple.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of disagree. I I don't think that they need to be a couple. Their I kind of like their friendship. Uh, and so and I know that they do like couples therapy and everything, but I feel like that was kind of the the joke. I think the joke is like, hey, they're not a couple, but it's like how people say, oh, the work wife, work husband, all that. Um, I think that's really what it is, and I think they have a good friendship, and I kind of prefer if it stays that way. I kind of like what they did, where they weren't an explicit couple.
I feel like they're. I think I'm in two mindsets. If they end up as a couple or not, I don't mind. I think actually they are good either way. It just kind of depends on how they execute it. Um, right now, I think
That's fair.
as a non couple they work really well. And so if they just don't do anything different, then they're fine. They just they can have them see other people, or they don't even have to have romance in the story at all. It's not about that. It's about their friendship. Um, on the other hand, though, if they do build up to a romance, they did do a couple little things in this movie, like when they dressed up at the beginning as a couple with a baby, um, and then also when they were in the hippo boat, and I think it was hippo. I
Yeah,
don't remember. And then they had like they were like it's our 2 week anniversary, and then they playing all the Valentine stuff. Like came down on the tent.
yep,
Yeah, and so that moment, I think it's like it's played for laughs because it's like, oh, they're not really a couple; it's a misunderstanding. But I don't know. There's some tension there. I think. It just I do like them more as a as friends ultimately. But if they ended up being a couple, I would not mind it. I think that they have great chemistry together. As long as they just build it up properly, I don't really think there's a problem.
Yeah, I suppose execution is what would matter. Um, I think if they had ended up being a couple by the end of this movie, I think that would have. I don't think that would have worked for me. Now let's see in the
Yeah,
third movie. Um, I don't know what kind of spell the birds are gonna put on them. So let's see.
lovebirds. It will be lovebirds.
Yep. Oh yeah, there it is.
Uh, we got doves, we got pigeons, we got hawks, we got eagles, and we got lovebirds. Um,
Yep.
Probably gonna be like a vulture. That's like the bad, maybe like a misunderstood bad guy is the vulture. Vultures are so cool. I could go on like a
Oh
30-minute tangent about how cool vultures are, but I'm not gonna do that.
yeah, I could totally see a misunderstood vulture. It's definitely that is kind of. It seems like that is going to be the pattern for this franchise, where
Hmm.
it's going to be a group of animals um, who are misunderstood and painted badly, and then there's a conspiracy that they gotta uncover. Um, it's simple, yet it continues to be effective. Has a lot of commentary, both in racial profiling for the first one. This one more, a little bit more redlining and immigration. Real quick, did you see the twist coming with the Andy Samberg character, where he's actually evil?
Uh, so I had already basically been spoiled on it. Twitter is a cesspool where they just spoil everything and you can't avoid it. That said, I had seen the trailer, right? And even like before the movie had come out, like I think it was like months before the movie had come out, someone took a screenshot of Popper and said he's the villain. And I just kind of was like, yeah, probably. So I didn't even get to really assess it at all. Like it was just kind of spoiled for me. I did wonder if the new mayor was bad either, like Mayor Lion Dancer, or Wind Dancer, who was really funny. He's Patrick Warburton. I love him. Um,
Yep.
but no, I figured he was probably not bad. He was just like very easily manipulated,
Yeah.
which still isn't good. But yeah,
Yeah, I think the mayor is one thing that didn't work for me. I mean, I just found it unrealistic. This narcissist TV personality as a huge politician. Come on, Disney. That's just no. It's way too
it's
unrealistic for
not
me.
realistic. That
Even
would
in a
never
movie about
happen.
talking animals. But no, I genuinely did not see that twist uh, coming, and I feel like Andy Samberg was kind of the perfect casting for it because I know you're not a big fan of him, but just his voice there, he just felt so perfect at the beginning where there is like that innocence in his voice, and you also get why he's not treated well in his family, so you get why he might want to turn on them, and it felt like he was truly um, on the good side, and then when he turned, I was like, oh, I'm not gonna say the rest of that because I don't want to
Hmm.
cuss on YouTube, but it's definitely not what I expected. I was a little bit bummed out because I hate it when there's a character that I like who turns out to be evil. But it definitely worked for the movie, and then his motivations. I felt his motivations were making sense when he was supposed to be good before the twist, and then when they did the twist and they explained his motivations again as to why he's actually evil, I thought it still worked. So yeah, very 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 effective for me.
Yeah, he definitely worked for me as well, despite knowing. Um, and I kind of like, as it built towards it, I was kind of wondering, like, he's doing all this, I guess, just to, um, you know, turn around and then take it for himself and then use it to bolster his ranks in his family. Which, you know, completing 90% of the opposing party's plan is almost never a good idea. It's never a good evil plan if
Yeah.
that's your goal. You're like, I'm gonna get like 90% of the way there, and then 10% I'm gonna kill everyone, and then I'm going to tell my family. But he didn't do even that right. So he kind of proved that he was um, worthless,
Yeah.
which he
I mean, in
isn't. But
hindsight,
yeah,
yeah. In hindsight, he could
um,
have snuck the snake in and then just be like, "Oh, hey, I caught you," and be like, "Hey, I caught the snake that was trying to break in," and I think that would have accomplished the same thing. Uh, but
yeah.
but hey, I guess maybe he's not the smartest.
I think it also sucks because you know he could be redeemed. You know he could be good. You know that's what Judy tries to plead with him. Is like you don't have to be one of them. And he's like, but I want to. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, it just shows how far gone he was at that point.
All right, it is time for our ratings, and in case you're new here, or just as a reminder, we rate things on the script coverage scale. There is pass when we think a movie is, not the best. Consider when we think it's decent, and recommend when we think it's great. As a reminder, this is not an actual recommendation; it's just a score. So with that said, Kevin, how do you rate Zootopia 2?
I'm gonna give it a. I'm gonna give it a recommend. I think it just kind of barely gets up to that score. Um, I like it more than Zootopia 1. I also think it is a lot. It is funnier. The dynamic with Nick and Judy is just like really fantastic, and I think that the characters in this movie are more memorable and work better in the story. Yeah, it's a great movie. Check it out. What about you?
Yeah, this is a recommend for me. I think kind of as you said, it's a really fun movie, really funny. The characters, both Nick and Judy, as well as supporting characters, are super memorable. And I think it does a really good job of kind of breaking down and explaining profiling and redlining in a easy to digest way. Even if like, hey, at the end the conclusion wraps up nicely, unlike in real life, even after a conspiracy is exposed. Um, but I think ultimately this movie is, it was a lot of fun, and I just really liked it.
Well, what else have you been watching, or what do you recommend for those who might have liked Zootopia 2?
Uh, it's so hard for me to come up with a recommendation. But I'm gonna go with it's gonna be a funny recommendation, but let me explain. It's gonna be The Lion King, because there is a theory out there that Zootopia and The Lion King are in the same universe. Because apparently, according to the directors, the carnivores all just eat bugs, and in Zootopia 1 there is a bug smoothie place. So the idea is that the animals learned to eat bugs from Simba, and that was years ago, and eventually we got Zootopia. Uh, so that's gonna be my recommendation because of this absurd fan theory that is out there. In terms of what else I've been watching, this is something that I know you saw as well. The Running Man.
Mm-hmm.
The new one, I still actually haven't seen the original, but I really like the new one. It's kind of, I think it was a lot of fun thematically. Um, Thematically, it was also super interesting and relevant to today, and it is kind of what I want from. It's kind of what I want from the Hunger Games. I think the Hunger Games is good for what they are, but I think that they have certain limitations by being PG-13 and meant for like, or in the young adult genre, where the Running Man could allow itself to be kind of unshackled by those restrictions.
I have so many thoughts from the Lion King thing to the Running Man. What I'll first say regarding Running Man is um that I'm really sad that we were a bit too busy to cover it, despite both seeing it.
Yeah.
Um, but because I had a great recommendation for that movie, which I'll just say now, I guess, while I have the chance. But it was called Series Seven, and it's a 2000s movie that's framed like those 2000s reality shows that I love, like Survivor. And in it's kind of like Running Man, except there are six players that are hunting each other down instead of hunters hunting the
Oh, that's
three
cool.
runners down. Yeah, I definitely think you should check it out if you really like the Running Man, because it's like older mockumentary style, very in your face with the editing, like
Mm-hmm.
2000s TV. Um, but yeah, I can't wait to talk about the Running Man maybe at the end of the year when we talk about our um, favorite movies. As far as the Lion King goes, I don't know if I believe that theory, but Kirtana has a crush on Simba. I'm just letting everyone know because that's the only thing that's relevant. And
And
if
King
she cuts
Kong
this out, and King Kong, what? I did not know
from
that.
Godzilla X Kong.
Okay, shoot your shot, I guess. My my recommendation for this movie is Ernest and Celestine. It's a French movie. It's animated. It is about a mouse, a tiny mouse, and a bear who they don't get along. It's more similar to the first Zootopia, where these two characters don't really get along because of cultural differences. But then they're forced to work together on a very specific thing, and they learn to grow and really like one another. It's a really cute movie. It's very short too, so really
All
recommend
right.
it for those who like Zootopia.
Yeah, I might check it out.
I think it also had a sequel not too long ago, but I did not get to see that one. But yeah, anything else of note in the world that you know we're nearing the end of the year. It's the holidays. Um, oh, Netflix bought Warner Brothers.
Or yeah, they're kind of still in the process. Paramount is still trying to. I mean, listen, I ultimately my ideal preference is that Warner Brothers not be sold, but it is obvious that it's going to happen. Um,
Yeah,
and even if David Zaslav, the CEO, were to be like, "Nope, I'm not selling," he legally cannot do that if there is a certain level of offer that is high enough, because it is a
right.
publicly traded company. Not that David Zaslav would. I don't. I'm not going to hold him to that high of a standard. Uh, but yeah, so it does seem like the Netflix is gonna win that battle, but Paramount is still trying to get it. It's lesser of two evils. Like in that battle, I kind of hope Netflix wins it, but I don't like the I don't like the result either way.
Well, Rohan, um, regarding that result, all I know is there are seven words that will haunt you regarding this deal, and it is the Batman 2. coming to streaming 2028. I hope that doesn't happen, but I think it's inevitable at this point.
Yeah, I will say, and they could just be lying. Netflix has kind of insisted, hey, we do want to keep Warner Brothers operating separately. We want to keep their movies theatrical, and they also say that, and apparently they're also saying that, hey, because the way Netflix operates and the way that Warner Brothers operates are completely separate entities. Apparently, they're not going to have the level of layoffs that we saw with like the Disney Fox merger, or that we would have seen if Paramount was the one who won the bid. It's still not ideal, but I guess
Yeah,
it's a silver
at least
lining.
it's not Paramount.
Yeah,
But then I could have gotten Batman alongside Jeff Probst in a Paramount Plus commercial with Dora the Explorer and SpongeBob. I mean, that would have been so great. It's just what we asked for. Just like, oh, actually, I have 1 minute to say this, and I don't want to go too off topic, but Survivor 50 put out their trailer, and Mr. Beast and Zach Brown and Billie Eilish and Jimmy Fallon are all involved in Survivor 50. And I just needed to tell you that I really want to die. Like, I really,
that's
I really want to die.
that's strange.
That is a lot to digest, isn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe in the future we'll cover Survivor 50. I will cover that train wreck of a landmark season, but no, I'm still excited. I'll still show up even for Mr. Beast. But I'm not happy. So that's it for this week's episode of Pages to Pixels. I'm Kevin, and that's Rohan. And stay tuned next week for another episode. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays.
Happy holidays. Thank you.